When a group of ordinary fishermen noticed the strange behavior of a huge whale in the open ocean, they could not imagine that they would soon come face to face with a 40-ton giant balancing on the edge of life and death. As they approached the animal in their fragile boat, the men froze. The body of the sea giant was struggling in invisible shackles, and its eyes radiated such unbearable pain and plea for help that everyone on board the boat shuddered and screamed in horror. Sea journeys often attract people with the promise of unforgettable experiences and serene relaxation. Azure water, sunny glimmers, the sound of surf, a perfect picture for a vacation. However, nature is unpredictable, and sometimes it transforms ordinary vacationers into true heroes, ready to risk their own lives to save another being. Warm waters near the shores of Tonga. A group of fishermen was enjoying a calm day when suddenly their attention was drawn to unusual ripples on the water's surface. Looking closer, they saw a sight that made their blood run cold. A huge humpback whale was desperately fighting an invisible enemy, cutting through waves with unnatural convulsions. Behind it, like a shadow, followed a small calf whose distress could be felt even from a distance. Engines roared and boats rushed to the scene. What appeared before the fishermen's eyes was a true nightmare. The adult whale's body was entangled in fishing nets like a spider's web. Buoys mercilessly dug into its skin, and fragments of fishing gear trailed behind it like chains behind a convict. With each movement, the animal became more entangled, condemning itself to a slow and agonizing death. Without delay, the men dove into the water. Before them was not just a whale, before them was an intelligent creature experiencing pain and fear. One of the rescuers later confessed, "I will never forget these sounds. It seemed like the ocean itself was crying with it." Underwater, the rescue operation participants faced the colossal power of a desperate animal. One wrong move could cost them their lives, but there was no turning back. Every second in such a situation is worth its weight in gold. The whale didn't understand that people came to help, and out of fear moved even faster, tightening the nets even more. The rescuers worked with incredible speed, understanding that every breath of the exhausted animal counted. Sharp knife blades flashed in the water, cutting thick ropes that had dug into the body of the sea giant, leaving deep wounds. We all understood. If we don't manage now, this magnificent beast will die before our eyes, and its calf will be orphaned, recalled one of the operation participants later, so each of us worked at the limit of our capabilities. Fuel supplies were dwindling with every minute of chasing the frightened whale. When it seemed that hope was gone, additional boats appeared on the horizon. With combined efforts, the fishermen were able to free the tormented creature from its deadly captivity. The majestic whale, having gained freedom, waved its tail in farewell, creating a wave of gratitude, and disappeared into the depths with its calf. But this is not the only story of amazing rescue that makes us believe in a special connection between people and these mysterious marine mammals. 2011, Pacific Ocean. Michael Fischbach, an experienced whale photographer and researcher, was spending time with his family on a sea trip. Suddenly, their attention was drawn to a dark, motionless body drifting near the water's surface. Coming closer, they discovered with horror a young humpback whale that seemed lifeless. Michael and his family circled around the animal for several minutes. Even the noise of the engine caused no reaction. "We thought we were too late," recalls Fischbach. And then a miracle happened. The whale rose slightly above the water and with incredible effort took a breath. It was alive but barely hanging on. Instantly assessing the situation, Michael plunged into the water. The picture that opened to his eyes was horrifying. The young whale's body was completely immobilized by a fishing net. The tail and fins were so tightly bound that the animal couldn't even rise to the surface to breathe. Michael later told about the moment that forever changed his life. "When our eyes met, I saw such depth of pain and despair in the whale's eyes that I forgot about everything in the world. At that moment, we were not human and whale. We were two living beings, one of whom needed help and the other could provide it." With just a knife in hand, Michael and his companions began a long struggle with the tangled net. When they managed to free the front fins, the encouraged whale suddenly rushed forward, dragging the boat almost a kilometer. He didn't yet understand that the liberation had just begun, Fischbach recalls with a smile. Despite the risk, the rescuers continued their work. The scariest thing was that at any moment the whale could simply dive, dragging us along to the depths, recalls Michael's wife, who also participated in the rescue, or with a strong blow of its tail overturn our boat. We all understood this, but continued to work. I still get goosebumps when I remember how my husband, half hanging from the boat, cut these cursed nets, and the huge animal literally a meter away from him could with one movement end everything. Hour after hour they fought with each knot, each loop that held the sea giant captive. Finally, the last remnants of the net were extracted from the water. The moment of long-awaited freedom had come, but no one expected what would happen next. Swimming to a safe distance of about 500 meters, the freed whale began to demonstrate an incredible performance. It jumped out of the water again and again, like a child overflowing with joy. In an hour, the whale made about 40 impressive jumps, a spectacle that even experienced whale researchers observe extremely rarely. This wasn't just instinct, it was gratitude, Michael is convinced. And it's hard to disagree with him, especially when you know the continuation of the story. Before finally leaving for the sea expanses, the majestic animal swam up to the rescuer's boat and circled around for several minutes, carefully examining the people. And then, as if saying goodbye, it hit the water with its tail several times and disappeared into the depths of the ocean. So 3 brave people, armed with only one knife and boundless determination, gave life to a young whale, which still had several decades of amazing adventures ahead in the vast waters of our planet. These rescue stories are not just touching episodes. They remind us that in a world where humans often act as destroyers of natural ecosystems, there is still room for compassion and mutual assistance. And perhaps most importantly, these stories make us think about our responsibility to the natural world. A world in which we are not kings and masters, but just one of the species whose survival directly depends on the health of the entire planet. Each rescued whale is not only a victory of life over death, but also a small step towards restoring harmony between humans and nature.